You can hear them moving or stuff around, playing music, and then she shows up. They make dinner like at 9, 10. You can smell their food. And you can hear them conversation and then laugh a little bit, and then they got quiet like after 11.
Robert, I'm asking you please to help us. Robert, if you love Zuzu as much as you say you do, and have told me over and over, you will come down here and you will help the police bring my sister home.
Live from the most watched station in West Texas, you're watching CBS 7 News, the breaking news and weather authority. CBS 7 News at 10 starts now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Just into our newsroom, a murder-suicide attempt leaves 2 Van Horn residents dead. According to Culbertson County Sheriff's, deputies responded to 308 Bowie around 6:15 this morning to a domestic disturbance call. When officers arrived to the scene, a man charged towards a deputy with a knife. This is when the deputy pulled out his gun and shot the man in the stomach. Carrillo reveals to CBS 7 a woman was transported to Culbertson County Hospital, where she later died of knife wounds. Meanwhile, the male was transported to El Paso Medical Center, where he later died of self-inflicted and gunshot wounds. According to Culbertson County Sheriff Oscar E. Carrillo, the incident is being investigated by the Texas Ranger Service.
Time now for a CBS 7 Weather Authority update.
Well, we are looking at a quiet evening across the Permian Basin as we take a look at, first off, the high temperatures for today. Another day of unseasonably warm weather as we warmed up into the mid to even upper 80s in a few spots, all the way up to 89 in Pecos, 87 officially out at the Miller National Air and Spaceport, but currently have cooled off a little bit into the mid 70s. So a nice evening across the Permian Basin, even better southeast of Mexico, Alpine down to 61. So as we move in towards the overnight hours, expecting generally clear skies down into the upper 50s overnight tonight. And you guessed it, we're going to see this unseasonably warm to hot weather stay with us through Halloween.
Thank you, Tom. A crash in Odessa lands a toddler in the hospital. The crash took place on Loop 338 and 52nd Street. According to the Department of Public Safety, troopers on scene say a small boy was transported to the hospital. This comes after a truck heading west on 52nd failed to yield the right-of-way to an SUV that was traveling south on Loop 338. We are learning that the toddler was transported with non-life-threatening injuries. No word yet if any citations have been given.
The most important thing for the investigators and the family is to continue to have hope because they need to continue to have that driving force behind them to continue to get the resolution to the case that they need.
Meanwhile, the Brewster County Sheriff's Office is asking all quail hunters for help. As quail season is in full swing, the Sheriff's Office asks for hunters to keep a close eye for any clues that may be helpful in the investigation. At this time, all leads are being investigated. Your tip could help bring Zuzu home. This evening, we are learning that the search for Zuzu Vert has now made its way to Odessa. The Brewster County Sheriff's Department spent the day searching inside of a landfill looking for trash that came from Alpine. I flew over the landfill today where I got a closer look at their investigation. A former police captain reveals what he believes is next as the search continues. It's been almost 3 weeks since Zuzu Vert was last seen.
The most important thing for the investigators and the family is to continue to have hope because they need to continue to have that driving force behind them to continue to get the resolution to the case that they need.
Deputies are combing through the Odessa landfill, all in hopes to dig up any information on the disappearance of the Sol Ross student. But as days go by, the idea of finding Zuzu gets further away.
In a case that progresses long term, it becomes less likely that you're going to have a positive resolution.
Experience with cases of missing persons. Roman, a former captain of the New Mexico State Police who now works for an independent agency, shares his expertise on the investigation.
Historically, we know that people involved in these type of cases, when they shut their mouth at the threat of being implicated, we know that their lives are never the same again. The individuals who did this heinous crime, if that's in fact what we have here, which it's looking more and more like that, if they're involved with this, they've got to live with that on their conscience for the rest of their life.
And while the search primarily has been to find Zuzu, Roman explained investigating a different resource could lead to valuable information.
If I was the investigator, that I would appeal to the media on and to other people is that they continue to scrutinize very heavily the suspects involved in this case, that maybe not as much attention should be given onto where the body could be found at this particular time, because you're looking for a needle in a haystack, but the attention onto the facts of the case and the suspects that are involved in this case.
But there is one thing in particular about this case that stands out to him.
Not only the police departments who are out there working diligently to make this right, but the fact that the public and the community comes out and supports the family so overwhelmingly. People want to find Miss Zuzu, and they want to find her alive and well.
We want to bring Zuzu back, and we're not going to stop until we get the answers. And it's easy, if you don't have anything to do with it, at least you can clear your name.
Earlier today, protesters gathered in Alpine as they carried signs demanding that Robert Fabian help bring Zuzu home. Protesters stood on the corner of Holland and 5th around 11 a.m. as the search for Zuzu Verk continues. People in Alpine are doing everything they can to make sure she's found.
I want him to come forward, tell us the truth. If he's not involved, tell us who took her. We want her home. Her parents are so devastated right now. They need their daughter back.
The FBI reopened criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server is dominating the presidential campaign with just 10 days until the election. Paula Reed has more on the fallout from yesterday's revelations.
Our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor would bring such a case.
In July, FBI Director James Comey announced he was not recommending charges against anyone connected to Hillary Clinton's private email server.
We did not find clear evidence that Secretary Clinton or her colleagues intended to violate laws governing the handling of classified information.
Attorney General Loretta Lynch issued a statement accepting his recommendation and declaring the investigation closed. But that wasn't the end of the controversy. Republicans criticized Comey's decision, calling him before Congress to explain.
We're mystified and confused by the fact pattern that you laid out and the conclusions that you reached.
People can disagree, can agree, but they will at least understand that the decision was made and the recommendation was made the way you would want it to be, by people who didn't give a hoot about politics, but who cared about what are the facts, what is the law, and how have similar people, all people, been treated in the past.
Now, 4 months later, Director Comey says that new emails that may be pertinent to the Clinton investigation have been discovered. Sources tell CBS News that he did this against the wishes of his boss, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and a long-standing precedent not to comment on investigations. The new documents were found on a laptop belonging to Clinton aide Huma Abedin and her estranged husband, Anthony Weiner. Last month, the FBI opened an investigation into allegations Weiner was sexting with an underage girl. Investigators will now evaluate each email to determine if they were previously submitted and if they contain classified information. Paula Reed, CBS News, Washington.
An increase in early voting has been seen across Texas. Early voting numbers are in. Ector County had a total of 14,985 early voting ballots. Westlake early voting coming in at 5,681 ballots. Stay with CBS 7 for the latest on early voting numbers in the basin.
Today was in honor of stroke and heart attack and cardiovascular disease survivors who have fought the good fight right here in the Permian Basin.
I have a second chance of life. I have a second chance to enjoy my grandkids. All the things that she said. I walked my daughter down the aisle when she got married.
As the #1 killer is heart disease. That's according to the American Heart Association. The Permian Basin Heart Walk aimed to save some lives with every step during the Permian Basin Heart Walk that took place at Park Legato earlier today. The 4th annual Running for Rescue is a 5K that is aiming to keep dogs off the streets. The event was held at Midland College Saturday morning, where attendees were treated to music, food, face painting. Some even participated in a costume contest. Mollison reveals next year's event is expected to bring an even larger crowd and keep abandoned pets off the streets of West Texas. On Halloween, all sex offenders are asked to gather at their counselor's office from 6:30 until 10 p.m. This is something that was started several years ago. Probation supervisors say this keeps them from temptation. By law, any registered sex offender cannot have any decorations or give out candy. Before heading out on Halloween night, make sure costumes are fire resistant. Test out Halloween makeup to make sure it's non-toxic, and don't forget to clean those faces before bedtime. When it's time to go out and collect candy, fasten reflective tape to kids' costumes and bags so they can be seen by drivers after dark. You can also send them with small flashlights or glow sticks. Music is filling the open skies of Presidio. The music festival, Dude of the Dead, is attracting different tourists from all over. Our CBS 7 crews are down there for the party tonight. CBS 7's Stephanie Bennett speaks to the founder of the event.
Coming out to Presidio, Texas for the Dude of the Dead Festival, all get wild and blue!
That's the message from Dude of the Dead founder Charlie Angel and his crew. In its 7th year now, Dude of the Dead is attracting hundreds. Angel founded the music festival for one reason.
Well, it gives people a fun event to go to, and I think it's the most sublime thing in the world is just to have nice music out in the middle of the open skies of the desert with the mountains of Mexico behind you.
Angel says about a dozen bands of all types are set to perform, including one from Mexico and one from San Francisco. Each year, the Dude of the Dead is held at a different location, but Angel is optimistic about this one.
This is probably our best location because of the drive-by tourism we get now. The tourists that see us stop, and had quite a few out-of-town bikers just stop by to say what's going on, and had a beer and hung out.
City manager Jose Portillo says the amount of tourists the festival pulls in is also good for the city of Presidio. And Mayor Ferguson approves. In fact, his whole family performs at the festival each year.
The southernmost part of it, but we love having you guys down here. I'm telling you right now, come visit us. Friendliest people in West Texas.
Angel says each year the festival gets bigger, and he cannot wait to see how this one turns out. In Presidio, Stephanie Bennett, CBS 7 News.
Thank you, Stephanie. Here's a friendly reminder for parents. Trick-or-treating times will be different across West Texas. The times for Midland is 5 to 9 p.m. on Monday. Odessa is also from 3 to 9 p.m. on Monday. And again on Monday, Big Spring starting at 5 and ending at 8 o'clock. For a complete list of Halloween times and activities, visit our website, cbs7.com. It's a celebration that has been celebrated by ancient Aztecs that's now a part of modern-day cultures. The Ellen Noel Art Museum's Art Day celebrated the Day of the Dead with hands-on activities that aim to remember family and friends through art, food, and flowers, giving those who attended a chance to learn about the history of the Day of the Dead.
For some people who already know all about Dia de los Muertos and celebrate it with their families, it's a way for them to share that maybe with younger kids. We love having days like this because we can get people into the museum and they can kind of see what we have to offer and find out about classes and different activities that we have, but also just coming and seeing the beautiful exhibits.
The event also let people who visited honor those in their families who have passed. Still ahead on CBS 7 News at 10, one by one band members lined up at Ratliff Stadium. Coming up, we'll tell you about one event that is taking 3 lucky finalists to San Antonio next month.